Alright, so today I'm back with another Blue Lock leak video, and today we will go over chapter 309. Now, this is a really exciting chapter as the Blue Lockers go back to Blue Lock, and Ego is about to have some insane training camp. However, that's not all, as we also see Nagi in the end. But I don't want to say too much, so you will just have to sit back and watch to find out what happens. Anyway, before jumping into it, please leave a like and a comment, as well as join the Discord server and subscribe to my second channel down in the description. And with that out of the way, let's get into it. Also, if you want to check out the leaks for yourself, then I will put a link down in the comments where you can look at them. So we start with the text saying, "A fierce battle for survival is inevitable. Blue Lock, representing the host country in the U-20 World Cup. Their goal, victory, a morning of new beginnings." We then see a ton of comments on social media, with some of them saying that the group with Japan, Nigeria, England and France really is the group of death. And another one is just in shock that so many strong countries happen to land in the same group. We then see Isagi, who is home. He thinks that to become the #1 in the world, he'll defeat any kind of opponent. He puts on his shoes and is ready to leave when his parents tell him to take care and wave him farewell with a smile. Isagi is about to walk out of the door as he turns around and says that he is going now, back to Blue Lock, the place of dreams. We also see the text saying that there are only 30 days left until the U-20 World Cup. We then see Isagi arriving at Blue Lock, and he sees Bachira. Bachira calls out for him, and he is caught off guard right away as he asks Isagi if he has grown taller. Isagi just laughs. They then bump into Rin, who says that it's been a while since he measured himself but that he has grown 1 centimeter. Isagi wonders what kind of appeal that was, and Bachira just asks Rin if he wants some kind of praise because of that. Rin just tells them that they are wrong, and he starts getting a bit angry. Isagi kind of says whatever, and tells them to just go in already. They then walk into Blue Lock and see everyone again. Karasu looks back and asks if they came after all. Hiyori just says hello to them. Aiku calls them Double Ace, guessing that he is referring to Isagi and Rin. Baru is also there. However, he doesn't really say anything but just looks at them pretty much. After that, Ego walks out and he compliments everyone on the 14 days of special training, and he tells them that they are no longer the same as they were 14 days ago. Ego tells them that each of them has obtained a new weapon and explains that a new combination is the lifeline to victory, telling them that things like bonds or the history of how they have made it this far are low-level thinking. Like, for the sake of Blue Lock, Ego tells them to throw all of those thoughts away. Ego puts out his hands and lets everyone know that he will use all of them to make his own dreams come true. So he then looks intensely at the Blue Lockers and tells them to do the same, and for them to use Ego for the sake of their own dreams. Ego looks out towards all of the Blue Lock players, and he tells them that right now, they are here carrying the hopes of Japanese soccer, but so what? And he tells them to not make this moment the peak of their lives. He tells them to not become someone who lives clinging only to the memories made here. Ego then starts to look even more intense as he puts out his fist and clenches it as he tells all of them to go beyond all of their egos. Ego then starts aura farming as he looks super cold as he tells them all that their first match will be against last year's Kings of Africa Nigeria, and the second match will be against the world's #1 ranked team, France, and then lastly, in their third match, it will be against the birthplace of football, England. He starts to smile as he tells them that from now on, they will start the special training to prepare for victory, and he then tells them all to follow him, and he calls them rough gemstones, but I'm guessing that it's supposed to be diamonds in the rough. Hey, it's Natsu mid-editing here, and I just wanted to pause the video to ask you to subscribe if you haven't already, and while you're already down there, why not leave a like as well? Anyway, Ego continues and says that in these 30 days until the tournament, he will transform them into a new, reborn egoist team, telling them that the final training camp begins for the U-20 World Cup. We then see Isagi looking super pumped up as he says, "Yeah." After that, we move over to Nagi, actually, who is seen sitting in the arcade like usual. And I can't blame him, as arcades are super fun. Nagi then starts to scratch his head, as he wonders if it really was the right choice. However, he then says that there wasn't really any other option. He thinks back to Buratsuta, telling him that they could take over Blue Lock together. Nagi then thinks that if he would have accepted that kind of money-grabbing slave contract, even if it meant betraying Blue Lock, then it still wouldn't be his ego anymore. Nagi says that it's not something worth becoming a villain for, something as casual as soccer. Nagi then thinks back to Isagi telling him not to quit soccer, and he then thinks about his classmates who asked if Nagi was going pro and that he still has an offer, right? Nagi thinks that it's true, and that his offer from Munchen City for 24 million yen still remains, so he still has the possibility of going pro, even if it's sadly not for the Japan national team. But Nagi then starts to wonder if he really is okay with that, and he wonders just what it is that he wants, thinking that the reason time stopped for him and what it was that set his heart on fire, was it soccer or was it Blue Lock? Nagi then starts to look super sick as his aura is overflowing while he is wondering just what his ego is shouting out for. And legit trust me when I say that this panel is legit insane. Suddenly, someone appears behind Nagi and makes a gun with his fingers towards his head. It's the rat, Igarashi, who asks him what he is doing and says that he is dead. Nagi just looks back and probably thinks that Igarashi is the last person that he would like to see. Igarashi then just calls Nagi a lazy pain in the ass. The ending text says, "The one who showed up was a former comrade. On the battlefield overseas, the genius spirit was." Now, honestly, seeing Igarashi in that arcade with Nagi was so shocking because he was the last person I would assume to be there. However, my fear is that this will lead to Igarashi saying that he has gotten the offer from Buratsuta and that he will try and join the Buratsuta 3 program and try to convince Nagi to join as well. By the way, I know that Nagi has already said no, but I'm pretty sure that he can just change his mind. However, also, when thinking back to what Nagi said earlier, I don't think that he will ever join the Buratsuta 3, which makes me even more curious as to why Igarashi is there. Like, I genuinely can't put into words how curious I am about this, as this was such a surprise. But now let's quickly talk about Nagi. Now, I don't know how he will do it, but I don't know. It feels so weird if they are showing him this much for him not to join the U-20 World Cup. So my guess would be that he is playing somehow, but I have no idea how that would happen. But let me know what you think will happen to Nagi, and more importantly, what it is that Igarashi wants with Nagi. Now let's talk about the special training and what it will be. Firstly, I want to say that I already have a dedicated video on this topic, which I uploaded yesterday, which I would really recommend that you check out. Anyway, now let's talk about what it will be, as I have some ideas. Firstly, it could be like the third selection, and there will be 5 versus 5 games, with each of the top 4 players being captains for their own teams. That would make Isagi, Rin, Baru, and Shidu captains for each team. Now 3 of the teams would have 6 players so that they could sub in players. However, as there are only 23 players, one team would have to play without any subs, which I don't think is too much of a problem. They could also just randomize the teams, which I think would be a lot cooler way of doing it. However, that could also make the teams really unfair, so maybe not. I also think that Ego could have prepared some kind of specific football drills. What I mean by that is that he could have set up shooting drills and finishing drills for strikers, some kind of passing plays and situational plays for midfielders, and lastly, some kind of one-on-one or just defending drills for the defenders. I think that this would greatly benefit everyone, as everyone in Blue Lock has to get better at their specific role, as after all, most of them are purely strikers from the beginning, so a lot of them have so much to improve on. I also just had a fun idea that they could have set up some sort of 1 versus 1 tournament for the players in the same position, which would decide which players get to start in the starting lineup. However, I wouldn't want to see 1 versus 1s, if I'm honest, as I really don't think that it would fit nicely into the story. It was just something fun that I thought of. However, the thing that has the most potential to actually happen would be some sort of 11 versus 11 game, I think. Now yes, like I said before, there are 23 players, but the last one will just act like a super sub for both teams or something like that. Anyway, I feel like doing an 11 versus 11 training camp would be kind of surprising, as it could be really fun depending on how they do the teams. If it's just the same teams like always, then I wouldn't find it that interesting. However, if it's random teams, or they just try and spice up the team somehow, then I would be more than here for it, as it could be super lit. However, I also don't think that this training arc can go on for too long, as I think that most of us, or at least I, want to get into the U-20 World Cup as fast as possible, so I think that it should be around the same length as the third selection was, so like 10 to 15 chapters. But anyway, let me know down in the comments what you thought about this chapter, and what you think that the special training could be about. Anyway, if you like Blue Lock and videos like this, then I would highly suggest you subscribe to this channel, and while you are at it, leave a comment and a like, as it helps out with the algorithm a ton. And if you are curious to see another video of mine, then please watch the video that will be popping up on the screen now. Anyway, thanks for watching, and have a great day. Bye.